Look at that. Welcome to SKB. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to SKB, which is Bradshaw International Airport on the island of St. Kitts. We are in the Anguilla Air Services. Britain Norman Islander. I don't like that beep that I just heard. I keep getting this disconnected notification. I don't know what the deal is, but we're just gonna get going. Internet's been a little weird here today. I don't know what the story is. So let's go. Rotating beacon on, external power supply on, master and battery switches on. I don't know what that dude is standing there for. I think I took him away in the settings. Alright, fuel's looking good. You're not gonna fool me this time. I'm turning the fuel things on, the fuel valves on. Take all this stuff off. Mixtures and props full forward. We look like we know what we're doing here. Alright, let's crack the throttles. And is there anybody out here to kill or maim? There is not. And there's another beep. Don't like it, but we'll see what happens. Alright, good start on the right side. Oil pressure is good. Good start on the left side. Oil pressure is good. Let's bring the power back just a little bit. Lean mixtures for taxi. Alright, oil pressure is good on both sides. That's really all we care about right when we get ourselves started. Because you just want to make sure there's oil going through the engine. Fuel pumps off, fuel pressure is both looking good. Alright, let's turn the avionics, master and battery switches on, nav and strobe lights on, taxi light on. I don't even know if we have a taxi light, but it's on. I don't know why that gets turned off either. Alright. Squawk. Let's squawk. 4-6. Does anybody else try to think of which way to turn it to make it most efficient when you're putting in a squawk code? Like, it makes any difference at all. Alright, and altimeter here is 1013 at Bradshaw, so the altimeter is dropping. A little while ago it was 1015. Alright. Winds are 070 at Niner, which is great. Runway 07. Alright, let's engage the parking brake. Engage the tow brakes, rather, release the parking brake. Let's also dial in our radio frequency. Change the CDI over to GPS. Alright. Now, let's go over to Navigraph, get our charts here, and we're all the way over in the kids' room here. We're eating lunch at the kids' table today. All the way down here. Alright, airplane is moving. Test your brakes. Always test your brakes when you get your airplane moving. So Bradshaw traffic, Anguilla 264, taxi runway 07 via taxiway Bravo, St. Kitts. Alright. So, what are we doing today? We are flying today over to VC Bird, and we have a specific mission today. And our specific mission is to not fly poorly. So I've noticed I had a bit of a tough time getting into Mystique yesterday. And I noticed in watching the video back that my flying has gotten sloppy. Like really no good sloppy. I am letting the airplane fly me. I am not using proper control inputs to control airspeed and vertical speed. I'm just kind of playing it by the numbers but not doing things properly. It's just piss poor flying is what it is. And I don't want to do that anymore. I want to get myself sharp and back on track. Flying well, and okay, encore setting is 113. Let me see here. Let's see, that doesn't change it. Course? No, well, it changes that, but that's not really what I'm looking for. Alright, well, I guess it's gonna have to be that. Alright, 113. Let's see here. I mean, that is my indicator, so I guess maybe it makes some sense to use that. Alright, transponder squawk altitude. Landing lights on. Fuel pumps on. Let's go. Takeoff flap set. I do not see any traffic. Alright, let's get going. Bradshaw traffic, Anguilla 264, taking runway 7 for departure to the east. Bradshaw. Alright, mixtures and props full forward. We'll talk a little bit more about my crappy flying on the way over.
Approaching runway 0725. Entered runway 0725.
I don't see any traffic. I don't have any on either the iPad or the GPS. There's our good friend, what's her name? Alright, let's get out on center line here. Mixtures, props full forward, fuel pumps on, flap set. Alright, heading indicator checks with the runway number. Takeoff power coming in. Takeoff power is set. Oil pressures are in the green. Airspeed is alive. And 65 knots. And rotate. That's what we're talking about right there. Keep it on center line. Fly runway heading. Now. Props back. Power back. Bring that notch of flaps up. Stay runway heading. Everything's looking good. This GPS wants us to fly out a mile and a half rather straight out, so we'll do that. Just to make it happy. Runway 7, alright, 1000 feet AGL. Let's turn our fuel pumps off. Let's check our fuel pressures. Fuel pressures looking just fine. Let's keep an eye on those. The manifold pressure, which is going to drop as we climb. And this is the thing about flying runway heading, right? If you say, I'm going to fly runway heading, I'm flying runway heading right now, 07. You do not correct for wind drift. You'll notice I am not aligned with the runway. Which means the wind is coming from left to right as you're looking right now. So, when you are told to fly runway heading, you fly runway heading. Alright. Bradshaw traffic, Anguilla 264, climbing through 2,000 for 3,500, right crosswind departure off runway 7. Bradshaw. Alright. And now let's put it into a nice standard rate turn. Standard rate turns make us feel good, don't they? Alright. Get ourselves back. I'm not that paranoid about my flying being so bad that I'm not making standard rate turns properly. My landings have just been garbage. And let's see, our course heading is 113. We just gotta get that needle centered here. And the reality is, the reason my landings have been garbage is because my approaches have been garbage. 3,005 and 3,500. Coming around now to heading 113. Alright. Alright, 3,200, climbing 3,500. You can see Antigua right off our nose there. There's a lot of things I do well in flying. I'm not gonna beat up on myself too bad, but there's certainly some things I can do better, and I need to do better. The beauty of flight simulation, as we level off here, the beauty of flight simulation is that number one, there's no risk, right, to making mistakes. Worst thing that might happen is like I might get a little bit of a sore back from sitting in my chair for too long, that sort of thing. That's okay. One of the other good things about flight simulation is that you can kind of take on challenges that you might not feel comfortable taking on in real life. In fact, that's a really big plus of flight simulation. Let's see here. The other good thing about flight simulation is if you record your flights, you can watch them. Kind of keep an eye on what you're doing. Or kind of, I guess, review what you did is, I guess, the better way to put it. And that's what I've been doing lately, is watching back the flights that I've made and start trimming out, or start cleaning out the mixtures here. I'm gonna keep my lights on. Flaps are up, fuel pumps are off, just double checking. Let's not get sloppy and let ourselves keep climbing. Let's level off. And I've just been noticing that I'm a baseball fan. I don't know if any of you guys are baseball fans. My Mets are playing tonight in the playoffs. I haven't watched a single game this year. I've lost my interest in team sports during the pandemic. I don't know why, but hold on for 1 second here. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Had to take that phone call. I lost my interest in team sports during the pandemic. I forget where my train of thought was going with this, but and see, look at this awesome weather we've got now. This is so cool. These layers now that we've got. These layers of low visibility, effectively. There's St. Kitts in the background. Look at that, how cool. How cool is that? Totally lost my train of thought, which is probably not going to trouble the world in any way. Oh, that's right. Okay, so what I was thinking was, I'm a Mets fan, and one of the announcers for the Mets is Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez was a great first baseman, one of the great defensive first basemen, really of all time. And he refers to what he calls fundies, which are fundamentals. And I have gotten sloppy on my fundies with my flying. And specifically, what I've gotten sloppy on is pitch for airspeed and power for altitude. And I feel these engines are going to quit pretty soon. I keep pulling the mixtures out. I've gotten lazy with my fundies. I need nose left trim a little bit here. And I don't know, there was a point in time where I was kind of questioning whether I thought it was that simple, right? It was that simple. Pitch for airspeed, power for altitude. And I got myself convinced that I was smarter than, people that have been flying and thinking these things over for hundreds of years, or, well, not hundreds of years, I guess 100 years. And I thought, oh, well, guess what? I'm smarter than all of them. Well, as it turns out, it might not surprise you to learn that I'm actually not smarter than all of them. And to be kind of specific, or Pacific, as the case may be, I got myself convinced that if your airspeed is increasing, let's say you're in a descent, right? On an approach, visual, doesn't matter whether it's instrument approach, visual approach, whatever. I got myself convinced that if your airspeed is picking up, let's say I'm trying to get 80 knots on downwind, and my airspeed is increasing, let's say to 90, and my vertical speed is increasing down. In other words, this is too fast and this is starting to drift down further than I want it. Then I got myself convinced that, hey, the solution to that is just to pull back on the nose a little bit. You kill two birds with one stone. You burn off some of that airspeed because you pulled the nose up, so I was half right. But what's also going to happen if you do that without changing the power is you're gonna slow down, but you're also pitching up, and you're gonna lose. You're gonna wind up leveling off a little bit. Whereas really, what's gonna happen, and I do this. I do really the same thing, and actually what I usually do in that situation, pull back on the nose, right? You pull it, you lose some speed, lose some vertical speed, but I don't make a correction with the power, and so I think I've solved both problems, but then 10 seconds later, my airspeed is good, but my vertical speed is not good, because I didn't really correct it. All I did was kind of mask what was happening, if that made any sense. Or same thing, like if I'm in a descent and I start floating, like I was going into Mystique yesterday, and my airspeeds, or the plane started to float, and I was on, I don't know, a 3 mile final, maybe 2 mile final, and plane started to float, and so I pulled the power out. Okay, good, because and by float I mean it starts to level off when you really want to be descending. So good, I pulled the power back. That's the correct action to take there. But then the plane is still in a level flight attitude, and I want to be descending. And when I say float, like, the vertical speed will level off basically to where it is right now, like maybe minus 100 feet or whatever. And I look at my airspeed, and the airspeed is at 70, and I think, well, great. Now airspeed is good, and I'm pulling the power out, so I'm going to start descending again. Yeah, that's fine, except for the fact that I haven't pushed the nose down. And so when the airplane does start to descend again, because I pulled the power out, that's a good thing. But the airplane starts to descend, but my airspeed doesn't increase because I haven't pushed the nose down. And so now what I have is an increasing descent rate and a decreasing airspeed, and that is a losing combination when you're trying to land. It really is, especially if you're trying to land in a place like Mystique, where you're dealing with terrain and a really kind of a tight, tough approach. And that's the situation I got myself in yesterday. And I guess the really short story, or the really short explanation to give you is, I'm making one correction, either pitch or power, and I'm trying to fix two things. Ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work. And so what I'm gonna try to do in this approach, and the reason I'm doing this airport is because I think this is a really nice, first of all, it's a cool airport, but second of all, it's a pretty stable approach generally. And what I'm looking for simplicity. I want to give myself a relatively easy approach, because I don't want to have to think too much, because I'm not very smart. I've come to that conclusion. Alright, let's look at the weather here. 1013. That's what we got. Winds is 100 at 8. Variable 040 to 170. So that's a pretty variable. Pretty big variable. 20 miles out. PC Bird traffic will the 264s 20 miles to the west inbound runway 7. PC Bird. So basically, the short story is I'm trying to give myself a relatively easy approach, but my goal here today is pitch for airspeed, power for altitude, and not to sort of come up with my own theory as to how that's going to work. You know, and just stick to fundamentals. It's a lot of talking for what I'm not quite sure is a lot of valuable information, but kind of going through it in my mind as I'm doing this here. Alright, so let's see here. We are going to look at we're going to look at taxiway Bravo in all likelihood. Taxiway Bravo. I don't see any traffic. Alright, let's do some mental math here. 2 miles a minute. We are traveling right now over the ground. I need to lose 2,500 feet in, let's call it 10 miles. So that gives me 5 minutes to lose 2,500 feet. Math on that isn't hard. The other thing I don't think I've been doing a very good job of is planning my descents and being at a particular place at a particular time and a particular altitude to be in good shape for what I'm trying to do. So I pulled the power back. The airplane's gonna find its equilibrium. Very kind of steady eddy today. Airplane, I mean, there's really not a lot of turbulence, not a lot of wind, so there's a lot of wind. That's not gonna do it. Gotta increase my descent rate here if I really do intend on getting down to 1,000 feet by 5 miles. I don't really need to be at 1,000 feet by 5 miles, but 1,000 feet by 3 miles is a pretty good idea. Alright, 1013 it is. I will be a pretty happy human being at 1500 feet, so once I get down to 1500, I will level off. Alright, winds at 3000. Winds, generally speaking, are easterly at about 15 knots, so. Pretty much going into the wind right now. BC Bird, traffic Anguilla 264, 7 mile final runway 07, BC Bird. Alright. That was light. Fairly certain that was lightning. Alright. Alright. Tell me we have that back again. Remember that back in the day when there was a lot of just like random lightning? Alright, so once we get to, first of all, mixture's full forward, let's put the fuel pumps on. And now that we're getting to 1500 feet, let's pull the nose up, bleed off some airspeed. Power back. 90, yeah, it's back. It is back. I don't see any traffic. Wow. Do you see lightning though? I'm gonna put in that first notch flaps right now. And I'm gonna trim for level flight and just see what airspeed this gives me. Alright, lights are on, fuel pumps are on, mixtures are full forward. Don't mind descending just a wee bit. Don't want to get descended that much though. Alright. Power back to 17. Trim the nose up just a little bit. Let's get it back inside that 85. Our flap range. Right now looking at 90. All right. Quite happy with where I am. I'm actually they actually put this phantom waypoint into the flight plan, so I'm actually not 5 miles away, or not 1 mile away. I'm 5 miles away. So BC Bird traffic, Anguilla 264, turning a 5-mile final, runway 7, BC Bird. And we got a little bit of a headwind, which is good. Alright, showtime. Power back just a little bit more. And that second notch of flaps. Get that airspeed down a little bit. And now we're doing what we're doing. Trying to keep the nose where I want it for my airspeed. Use power as I want to adjust my vertical speed. It's not like a super hard and fast rule. It's not like but like for example, I'm floating and I want to make sure, see, airspeed's coming down a little bit, so I want to push the nose down a little bit. You see how that vertical speed is crashing there. Alright. Props full forward. BC Bird traffic, Anguilla 264, short final, runway 7, BC Bird. Airspeed's picking up, so I want to pull the nose up. At the same time, bring out a little bit of power, just because that power, or the vertical speed is coming up on me now. Want to watch, because don't want to get too slow. Keep that nose coming down, keep that nose coming down. Bit of power out. Power out. Down. See, that's what happens. It wants to float, and the airspeed will drop off, and the vertical speed will drop off, and that's when I don't like it. That, I mean, that was an easy land. That was like a pretty easy approach, right? That's what I wanted. That's what my goal was. I didn't want a complicated approach. I wanted one where I was not transitioning from over water to over land. Real tight. Like real tight into the runway. And that's what I had right there. So I had a pretty stable approach. But I liked that. That was good. And that's the thing, if you're trying to brush up on something, don't do it, if you're trying to fix your landings, don't do it at St. Bart's. Don't do it, if you're trying to, brush up on your approaches, let's say, you're doing, you know, jets and stuff, don't do it into LAX. Don't do it into JFK. You know, do it into Boise. Do it into Syracuse. Do it into places like that. VC Bird, traffic Anguilla 264, clear the runway, VC Bird. And so I gave myself a long runway. I gave myself a runway where, let's turn the fuel pumps off. Let's put the flaps up. Like I said, that I'm not transitioning from over water to over land close in, because what that's going to do is cause, you know, turbulence on short final, like whatchamacallit, what's the word I'm looking for? Grand Cass, place like that. You know, so do it somewhere easy. You know, if you're trying to brush up on a basic skill, don't make it hard on yourself. And the result was I was adjusting. There wasn't a lot of adjustment going on, but adjusting for vertical speed with my power, adjusting for airspeed with my nose, and I know there wasn't a lot of deviation there to deal with, but at the same time, I'm telling you, yesterday I would have boxed that up. I wouldn't have been this good because I just wasn't thinking properly. Mixture to idle, cut off, throttles are idle. Let's put the parking brake down. And the beautiful culmination of that was a nice crab angle on the crosswind. Avionics master off. Magnetos off. Master and battery switches off. Open the doors, let out the humans. And the beauty of it was that that little crosswind right there at the end, and a nice touchdown because I was on airspeed. I was paying attention, making corrections, not only the right corrections, but making the right corrections the right way. And I'll be darned if I didn't land my airplane properly. And that this is pretty cool. That that plane right there is live traffic, and he's probably cursing my mother's name because I just parked right where he wants to turn around. Sorry about that, buddy. All right, so lesson learned. You know, don't reinvent the wheel. You know, make the correct adjustments in the correct way, and things will turn out a whole lot better. I really like that flight. That makes me feel a lot better. So I hope you guys are having a good day, and we'll talk soon.